Okay.
Okay.
So can you show me what is the programming process? So when I was told that for the installation process, you would like our folks to go through and help do the in-room. We'll do the in-room installation. So can you show me exactly what that will entail,
Yeah, so
including programming the TV?
so as far as programming the TV, we can step back over here. Um, Really, in room, all you're going to be doing is connecting this 401 to the coax that should be feeding the back of the TV now,
Right.
and then running an HDMI cable out to the TV to whichever port you want, and then providing power for the 401.
Okay.
So it's just a matter of
So we just
power.
have one additional power plug here, right? It's this guy here.
Yep.
What's
So
it?
it will add an additional power requirement for each TV.
Do they have any smaller bricks than this, or is that?
Unfortunately, that's the only size they have for the
Seems
401s.
pretty large for such a small box.
Yeah, it is. As far as programming the remote, what you do on these TVs is you actually press 1 and 3 together until the light comes on above the DTA power.
Mm-hmm.
And then you would push and hold the power key until the TV turns off, let go, and it programs. I would actually do it, but it will actually take about 5 minutes to cycle all the way back through the codes.
Okay, so it's
but
not
let's
one of
go ahead
these
and do it.
systems where you, like when you have a universal remote control, you look and see the brand of the TV and enter the number.
Nope, it does it automatically for you.
Okay, so when you go into the programming mode, it's 1, 3, and then hit what again?
You just hold the power key
Yeah.
until the TV turns off. Once it turns off, you let go of the power key, and it will go through and select the code that it believes turned the TV off. And usually it's 99% accurate. So
Okay, is there any way to override that procedure? We know most of our TVs are LG, so
there's not. Unfortunately, with
Really?
Technicolor,
Ugh.
yeah, they only have you do a search. But I do know that LG is one of the top codes that's in there. So
how long will it take to find the LG code?
usually it'll find it within about 30 seconds or less for LG.
Okay, I'd like to see you
So-
try it on this one to see.
Okay, let me
Because this is
actually-
what this is the problem we have is if it takes 5 minutes on each one, and that really adds up when you do 600 rooms, right?
Yeah.
It would be better if they gave us an override code that says enter this for an LG TV.
Yep,
Because
it
like I
would.
said, 90, probably 95% of our TVs are like that.
I'm going to exit out of that mode. Where I've kind of scrambled the code order on this one, it may take a little longer, but let's see if we can get it to program to this LG. So 1 and 3 until our
Okay.
DTA power light comes on, and we're just going to push and hold the power key.
Okay, so then at some point when it finds the right one, each time it blinks, it's sending the power code.
Yeah, it's
When
actually
it turns off, then you let go.
Yeah, my understanding is it's actually sending out a bank of about 10 codes at a time. And then it will isolate or try to pick which one it believes is the one that controlled the TV when it turned off.
Does that mean you need to do this more than once, or?
No, usually it will actually find it first go around. But like I mentioned, where I actually had already scrolled through quite a few codes, there's a good chance I passed the LG. And there's enough codes that it will take a few minutes to actually get all the way through. So, it actually found the code for the Samsung, because it actually just powered it on.
Oh, that would happen to that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's.
It just found the code for the Toshiba. It just turned it
Okay.
off. And it just found the code for the LG.
Okay, so now you press what? TV.
Yep, if I just hit the TV power,
Okay.
it should bring this back on. I do need to make sure LGs, like, once they get powered off, there's a certain time frame before you can power it back on.
Mm-hmm.
So I just want to make sure we've passed it. And there we go.
Okay.
So it's now programmed to the LG.
All right. So I see how that works. I'm not happy about it because, like I said, it's going to take a long time for us to do that in every TV.
Yeah.
Um,
And unfortunately, though, where it's programmed to control it, but it's not programmed to change the channels up and down. So, because it would need the 401 to do it, and then you can see the delay in actually decoding the signal, and then
okay.
goes in.
So then, how does the 401 box pair with the remote thing?
So same thing. You can actually reset the pairing So I'm gonna grab the other remote here. As soon as I figure out where it's at, then we can get it set back up.
Mhm.
Remote replacements are $10.
Oh, good,
And we'll
good.
make sure you have plenty on hand
Okay, that's comforting to know.
too. Sure. Okay.
So we'll wait for it to come on. And this is kind of testing my memory because it's been a while since I reset one to a box, but I do believe it's selecting the power. You push and hold it. And then here in a second, it'll ask me to repair
Oh,
this
okay,
remote to the
okay.
box. So I'm going to put in 696. Okay.
It's almost the same as what they did on my Comcast remote. When you first turn it on, it gives you a code number and you put it in the remote.
Yep, so we're now paired back to the box,
Okay.
and we'll see if we can get this to program back to the TV for us. And the reason it's doing that is because I'm kind of disrupting it.
I'm sorry, what's going on now?
Oh, I actually just disrupted the box by changing the codes and then instantly trying to program a TV. So it'll actually settle down and come back in just a second.
Okay. So the people who make these remotes, you're certain there's no override to go directly to a given
Yep, positive.
brand?
We've actually asked a few times to see if there was an override for a certain brand. So, and they
Really?
went to a pure search method for their remotes. So
Did no one tell them you can't do it? You can't. It's nice to have that, but you can't have that be the only way to do it.
trust me, when we go to the properties that have 3, 4, 500 plus TVs and they're all LG, we've asked many times, is there
Uh-huh.
any way to override it, just so we can just put a code in. So.
They wouldn't consider doing another model that would do that, would they?
Yeah, they're constantly making changes to their boxes, and all of their changes are actually software upgrades. So that's also kind of a bonus. Is like I said, the comm will control it. So any upgrades that come out, we can
Uh-huh.
actually remote in and actually update the boxes.
So I'm going to estimate it would probably take about 10 to 15 minutes to set up and test one of these per TV.
Yeah, that's actually
Because
a
it's
fair
gonna-
assessment.
So every time we go into a unit, if you've got, could be a half hour to do my unit. It's going to take a while.
What
Right.
about the ProCentric server, that part though, James? I mean, that's what we're gonna have the server on this.
Well, if you're doing a ProCentric server, that will only work with LG brand TVs.
Okay.
So.
Which most of them are. you
Yeah.
know,
So the ProCentric server is a way that you can map the TV itself. So yes, it would actually cut down on some of the installation time because that's just a matter of plugging the cable in, or if it's already plugged in, we actually use the server to reset it to pull the channels in. Sorry, I have to scan it. Where I actually repaired it, it clears out.
So let me see if I understand this. So can we have an option where, let's say we default our TVs to this, because we know most of them are LGs,
Uh-huh.
and if we do that, then we don't have to do any installation
If you
because
default-
because your remote control is still going to work. Now, if that particular unit owner then says, well, I'd like to upgrade and get the program guide,
Mhm.
okay, at that point, can that box be brought in and then you do that installation to
Yes.
upgrade it to that?
Yep, because it's the same signal going into the box as it is to the TV. What changes is where the TV's doing the decoding and it's Proidium, you actually have to tell it, my channel 30.1 that I'm broadcasting, show it as channel 2 on this
Uh-huh.
TV. And then it will actually go in, take 30.1 and display it as channel 2.
Okay, so do you have to do that provisioning every time somebody adds one of these boxes, or you just do it once and then any time one of these boxes gets added on, the system already understands it?
It already understands the box. So the only thing you have to do with the box is just scan it. Once you hook it up, you scan it to the system, and however you have
And when
that
you say
set up-
scan it, oh, what do you mean? You're gonna need to,
So if you hit menu
uh-huh.
and then go to channel scan, and then tell it to clear and scan, it'll go through and it will actually search for all the channels available to it to display as we told the comm.
Okay, so as part of the
display.
installation process, you need to do this
do.
also, the channel scan.
You
Okay.
do. You don't have to be in the room to do the scan though. You can actually do it from the comm itself.
Mm-hmm. But if you wanted to test the final thing to make sure it
Then you
all
wanna
works,
be
you'd
in
have
the
to
room.
wait for us. But you could do, if you had 3 TVs, you could basically be getting the first one going while that's happening, working on
Correct.
the second one and
Yep.
third one. Okay, so there is an option if we decided it's going to be too much work for us to try to add this box onto every TV at once. We want to start with this,
Mhm.
and then we're going to basically, over the course of a year, gradually roll everybody over to this. That's something that could be done.
It can be done. And also, to add to that, if you want just the scrolling guide that we can put on these TVs until you get everybody converted to the boxes,
Uh-huh.
we can actually put software on the box that will also display that guide that just scrolls. It gets rid of the interactive guide, but it at least gives everyone
Oh,
a
well, we
guide
want
until we
one,
get
once.
it repaired.
Okay, so during that transition period, you're saying we cannot have these 401 boxes having the interactive guide working?
If you have, you can. But like I was mentioning, right now you have to choose whether you want the interactive guide on the 401s or if you want the static guide. That,
Okay, so you'd have to take away the static guide
Yep.
here.
Yep.
Okay, which, okay. But we can't just insert a channel that would have a video of the rolling guide.
You can't.
That seems so weird. Why can't you do that? It seems like you should be able to take the rolling guide, take the video output of that, and just allocate a channel in your 96 to send out, right?
Yeah, and that's the way it's actually set up to display, but for whatever reason, there's a conflict between their interactive guide and that scrolling guide when we set it. If
Uh-huh.
you try to use external hardware, which is possible, we may be able to do it, but it's not as reliable because this system right here actually pulls the guide directly from the receiver from DirecTV. So whereas a second or a third party company, they're actually going to the internet, other sources, TV
Oh.
providers to try to get the schedules, and a lot of
Mhm.
the times the times will be off, or there's certain channels that are not displayed in certain areas that will show.
Okay,